You know what this is?
Is this the pre-show?
No. Like this right here, my face.
An infant?
No. This is my
a Brillo pad.
This is my Mark VV costume.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah.
So this is very meta because it's me as Mark VV as me
as you, right?
So I got the hat, I got the shirt,
right?
And this is what he grows. This is what he calls a beard.
After like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think he maybe 3 or 4 like weeks, maybe months. This is about what he got.
Okay.
So I was trying to do it like that.
So you're imitating Mark VV, imitating you.
Yes. If imitation is the highest form of flattery, I kicked it up a notch. And
wow.
I am flattering myself.
And Mark VV is probably either at home crying or laughing hysterically.
Tonight on Country Squire Radio, we're talking. No, guys, we've got a great show planned for you tonight. We're talking about the effects of aging pipe tobacco.
That's right.
We've also got a great pipe question of the week, quick fire questions, new club members, and more happening tonight on Country Squire Radio. Welcome, Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD.
Hey, Beau. Good evening, man.
Man, good evening to you. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. I'm great. It's been quite an eventful week, it seems like. Golly, people keep asking me how I'm doing, just folks, friends I'm bumping into. And, man, there's just a lot going on around ye old pipe shop right now. I'm kind of exhausted, to be honest with you. Just having trouble catching up on pretty much everything, but things are great. Man, sitting here tonight enjoying this brand new pipe. This is the first bowl. First bowl I've smoked out of this. This is really kind of special. Our friend, a longtime listener, Jim Deshane, pipe carver in the United States here, good friend of the show and of the Country Squire. I commissioned him to make a Magnum Bing's favorite.
Dang!
I wanted a large Bing's favorite, something that I could put just a whole chunk of tobacco in and smoke all day and not think about it. It's just one of those things where my sweet little Bing's favorites. Everyone, if you're a longtime listener of the Country Squire, I love a Bing pipe, and so I wanted something that would hold just the similar shape, but just had a really large bowl, and man, Jim just came through in spades. He made this beautiful craggly blasted Bing for me with a pretty sterling band and a really long just very, very slightly bent ebonite stem. And man, I couldn't be happier sitting here smoking Merriweather tonight. Yeah, I always tell folks,
dude, that Merriweather smells amazing.
Doesn't it smell righteous? Yeah.
Yes.
It's one of those things when I tell folks, okay, people ask, what should I, smoke when I'm breaking in my new pipe? What should I smoke? And I always tell folks, smoke a tobacco you love. Okay. Go when you're breaking in a new pipe, smoke a tobacco you love. And the reason for that is that way you can, I know I love this tobacco, so if there's any flavor quirks or any kind of quirks of the lighting process or the smoking process, keeping it lit, residual flavors that linger, it's the pipe, it's not the tobacco, it's the pipe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're kind of almost, if you're having this test done or a scientific study, you're kind of keeping the one thing constant.
Your control.
I'm controlling that. And so, man, smoking Merriweather tonight, one of my favorite tobaccos that we have here at the shop, and man, just really, really pleased with this pipe.
Dang,
So,
I mean,
isn't that awesome?
I love that.
It's so great.
You have a favorite style pipe, of course, the Bing's favorite, and you love smoking pipe tobacco. So you just need one that has a big enough bowl.
Just has a bigger bowl to accommodate my addiction, right? Isn't that wonderful?
I love it, man. That's great. Well, hey, we've been having some fun here tonight. I'll pull the curtain back a little bit for the podcast listeners. You were showing up a little. I mean, you were on time, but just barely.
Skin of my teeth, baby.
Yeah, and so beforehand, y'all might not realize this, but Caleb, the intern, who was kind enough to step on Mike last week and fill your shoes to the best of his ability, he is often here nights before we go live on the podcast, helping things, setting things up, doing all the grunt work that an intern should do. And so in the after everything was set up, while we were waiting for you to arrive, me and him jumped on Periscope and answered a few questions, had some fun with the pre-show. So it was a lot of fun. But I do want to say thank you so much to Caleb, the intern, for coming on last week. And yeah, we talked about cigars. We talked a little bit about little Lancaster versus York, which we'll get into later on in the show.
I think the kid did a pretty good job. I do. What I'm interested in, you're the guy that does all the heavy lifting when it comes to producing the podcast and organizing it and getting control of the data and all this kind of stuff. Is there any way we could tell like what our female listenership is when Caleb is on the show?
I mean,
is there a way to tell if it spikes or not?
There is, and it's very technical. Just when the episode releases, I just put my ear out the window and listen for the swooning.
I know. Oh,
yeah, it's something like that.
Is that the swooning?
That was the most disturbing sound.
I mean, really,
that's not the sound.
Is that's not the? I don't know. That might be the sound people make when they see Caleb.
That might be the case.
Sometimes when they walk in the shop and they see him, they're like, oh,
hey, man,
hey. But I mean, you know,
it's
and sometimes they say that when they see me.
He did a great job, man. And we actually on the episode we talked a little bit about Sleepy Hollow, and pumpkin spice pipe tobacco. And I was telling them. I actually like Sleepy Hollow, but we were talking about the whole concept of pumpkin spice, and I mentioned to him, I was like, yeah, I've been keeping my eye on a lot of these different forums of Facebook groups kind of across the internet, and it seems like we kind of sparked up a little bit of a conversation in the online community, and so
that's great.
Yeah,
we've done that before.
I mean, yeah, but when it's about pumpkin spice, that's when you know you have failed the industry as a whole, and that's
exactly
for that we do. We'll just put it all on Caleb. Well, hey man, we've got some great things coming up. Of course, we are like right around the corner.
It's so close, man.
The Texas Pipe Show.
Man, really excited. They're at Pop's Safari Room in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
October 7th. So we will be there with bells on, doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans, long smoke competitions, and there's going to be just really great contests silent auction items. Incredible selection of American pipe carvers, blenders will be on hand. Tobacco manufacturers selling their 2-bit hits, and man, it'll be a fun time for all. So man, can't wait to see you there. If you're in driving distance, we really hope you can come down.
It is going to be a blast. I'm so excited about this, man. I just got word that I'm actually I was going to fly directly from Jackson to Fort Worth, but apparently now I'm flying from New York, not New York City, but like upstate New York, into Fort Worth. I've got like two events back to back. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that. Okay.
And actually, I know there's some pipe smokers up in New York.
So like Beau and I talk about like personal logistics, like
on air,
live. Like a lot of times we're so busy, like we don't get to see each other. He's one of my best friends, but it's like, oh yeah, it's like we're on air, and it's like, yeah, we're going to dinner Thursday night, right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you get babysitters for the kids and all that. Yeah, am I bringing the casserole or you? Right?
And we're pregnant again. We're not.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
I know, right?
But yeah, man, it's going to be a blast. Barbecue or steak? Have we made this decision yet? What? Because we're gonna do a listener like go out and meet up and get some grub and everything.
Okay. No, I mean I think you could do. Look, in Fort Worth, all meats are on the table.
We'll let the Texans decide.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Bring out their local faves, man.
Win and
Rome. I think that's good.
That's
right. It's so exciting. I've had a lot of our Texas listeners and friends have said, man, just can't wait to see you and Beau. Was chatting with Jason Naff earlier today. Jason, good friend of the show, and man, Pipe Club member, and was just saying he can't wait to see us, and man, just a whole host of folks. It's gonna be a great time.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast.
I'm excited.
Well, we got that, and then afterwards we come back, we get a little bit of rest, and then right back to it. In fact, in a major way here in the local community, of course, we got the Jackson Pipe Night coming up.
That's
October 28th.
That's right.
Bring your pipes. Make sure if you're in the local area, or even if you want to travel into the local area, this is the time to do it. There's a lot of great events that the local pipe community puts on, that the Squire puts on. But for me, man, this is like the Super Bowl.
It really is.
The Sugar Bowl. Is that the one that's like the big state Ole Miss thing?
That would be the Egg Bowl.
The Salad Bowl.
Right.
The bowl of the M&M bowl that your mom puts out when you come into town.
Hey, that's a good bowl.
That's a good bowl.
Yeah, no, you want to win that bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But no. Of course, like this is like the main event when it comes to the local pipe community.
That's right.
I'm so stoked.
That's right. It's exciting. Jackson Pipe Nights on October 28th here at the Country Squire. We'll get cranked up at some point that evening. I'm thinking around 6 o'clock, but tickets will be on sale very soon, and then the seating will go by ticket purchase. So if the order of your ticket purchase, you get to pick your seat in the shop for the slow smoke competition based on the order of your ticket purchase. So
okay, we need to settle up before we leave here tonight.
Speaking of working out logistics, I mean, look, we're close buddies and all that, but like, I mean, preferential terms. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, you're gonna find out when they're everyone else?
No, it happens every single year. In fact, I think it's happened live.
I'm gonna put you under the smoke eater by the air conditioner.
At least I can blame it if that's the case.
Right? No, exactly. You need a good excuse.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Man, we're excited. This year's show we can finally announce is being sponsored by Briarworks Pipes, Savinelli USA, and Neil Monnier Pipes. Neil out of California, just really talented American pipe carver. He is also sponsoring this, and we've got some other sponsors that will be announced really soon. So we're just so excited and have a great show coming up for you on the 28th. So if you're in the area or in driving distance, we hope to see you.
We got a great show planned for tonight, but before we can jump into that, man, we've got to welcome into the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club a brand new member. Oh man, this one is a tough name. This one is really going to stretch me here. I'm going to do my best to get this right.
I believe in you, Beau.
Davi Aline?
Davi Aline.
Davi Aline.
Yeah, if you lived in a more cultured area or part of the country, it might be Dave Allen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see that.
Right.
I would, originally I wanted to say Dave Allen, but I thought that's too easy.
I always feel bad for these poor people that join the Country Squire Pipe Club, but have a simple name. Like John. If John Doe ever joins the club, like what are we gonna do with John Doe? I just don't. But yeah, Dave, man,
Johan.
It's hard to butcher your name, man. We're really good at butchering names, but man, you've got a great one. Your parents did well, and man, thank you so much for joining the Pipe Club.
And they did well. It's simple enough that our small brains can read it.
Yeah, very, very small. That's right. Man, thanks for joining at the Squire level. That is
Absolutely.
so wonderful.
And also, we want to give a shout out to Eric Everwine, who is also a patron of
our
the
new
show
patron.
as well.
Yeah,
so
it's wonderful.
Thank y'all so much. And guys, if you haven't done so yet, consider supporting the show. It goes a long way to making this stuff happen. For club members especially, you get access to the online Facebook community. And by the way, if you're a club member and you haven't gotten onto that community yet, and you're wondering how, just message me. I'll get you the link sent directly there. But man, one of the things I love is that we're the discussions that we're able to have in terms of that community are really good. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. We're able to kind of work with kind of some behind the scenes realities of producing the show, and so those of you who are helping make that happen, it's a good forum to kind of work with us to make sure that we can figure out what the best process is to make the show that you love and enjoy. So big ups to all of you pilgrims and squires out there that are helping make the show happen, and a tip of the hat to you as well, those of you who aren't able to necessarily join the club but want to keep the support going, that are patrons at the $1 to $3 level. Y'all are awesome as well. So thank you so much.
Hey, Beau, I've got a carrot. I've got a carrot for our for the kind folks that have decided to join the Country Squire Pipe Club. This was actually this is a Beau's freaking out because I'm holding in my hand a
solid gold,
a solid gold block, and it is it's actually a can of Penzance. And this is a tin of tobacco, of course, it's highly coveted, and it comes out once every blue moon on the leap year during the harvest festival and all that.
These ain't the pirates, folks. This is the tobacco.
This is the tobacco. This is hard to get stuff. And we actually had a friend of the show. His name's Barry. He's from Mississippi. And he actually donated this to the Country Squire. He said, do with it what you will. I tried one bowl out of this, and I realized I'm just not an English blend smoker. And Barry was kind enough to give this to us, and we're deciding to give this to a lucky Country Squire Radio Pipe Club member. So he had this is a Penzance tin that has one pipe full missing, and if you're a Country Squire Radio Pipe Club member, it could be yours.
All right, so how do we want to do this? Do we want to wait till like the end of the month and kind of draw from the names?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that?
All right, gotcha.
Yeah,
so,
does that sound good?
Sounds good. I tell you what, actually, let's do it because this is the logistics live on air.
I know, right?
Yeah, right there. So that would actually be when we're actually in Fort Worth, if I'm not mistaken.
Gosh, you want to do next week?
I tell you what, let's do the end of October. Let's give a good amount of time.
End of October.
End of October is when we're going to do it.
Yep.
It'll be tricks or treats for you, in that we will have this treat that you might win, and we will provide a lot of trickery along the way.
And you know what? That gives us some more time to think. Well, maybe there's some other cool stuff laying around the shop that might need a home.
Oh snap!
I don't know.
All right.
I mean, that's good. The longer the time period, that gives us a chance to be a little creative.
Never been a better time to join the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club.
Yeah, man.
Get that
You could win the
Penzance.
Penzance. Ooh.
All right, man. Tobacco is the topic tonight. We're actually talking specifically about aging, or more accurately, what comes after the aging process, what you can expect from it. Now, aging pipe tobacco is a subject that we've covered before on this show, but it was a couple of years ago. We've also revisited the topic relatively recently in terms of various processes, but we've never really done a deep dive into what the end result is. You know, if you're going to do all this work, put your patience on the table, store this up for a rainy day, like what is it that you're actually working towards?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. You know, we have talked often about the cellaring process, right? So, okay, I've got this tobacco. How am I going to store it? What do I do once I have this tobacco? I want to keep it fresh and available to me to smoke down the road and not have to worry about the freshness or the quality of it. But you know, we go through all this trouble to store and age our pipe tobacco, but then we think, well, what exactly is going on here? You know, what is happening in the cellaring, in the aging process that makes it so important or so special. Why do you hear people say things like, gosh, I smoked this tobacco, but then I put it up for a few months, and then I smoked it again, and wow, it was just amazing. It was so much better, and so we just wanted to dive into that a little bit, kind of the effects of aging the pipe tobacco.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to listener Dustin who suggested this as a topic.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, what is happening? There's aging that happens at all different stages of the tobacco, from being in the field to processing to the blending part, and then what you can do at your home once you purchase the tobacco. So initially the tobacco, we're talking about a vegetable here. This is a plant. You're not going to make a salad out
I
of
was
it.
about to say,
At least
yeah.
at least I hope not. I don't know. Should we make a tobacco salad?
Uh,
I might. I don't know. I might try a stab at it.
I will watch
We're
you do that.
we're close to 4 hospitals.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be the place.
Especially that one down there with the little Catholic nuns, man, they would take really good care
They
of
would
me.
take very good
They would
care of
take
you.
really good care of me. Obviously, tobacco, once it has been harvested, it's got to be dried and cured, and so we all know that. We all know that pipe tobacco, it has to go through some type of sitting process before it can be consumed, but it just doesn't. A lot of folks, we just haven't talked often about uh, what that actually entails. So. And why that's important. Pipe tobacco, it should age typically for several months in its raw state before being blended or
Mm.
packaged. Okay, so we've
Before the common consumer even dreams
even
of seeing
dreams of getting it.
That's
That's right. Or even before it's put into whatever tin or pouch that it's going to be put in. Aging takes away a lot of at this point in the process. Okay, we've harvested tobacco, we've cured it. And now the tobacco is kind of sitting for a while. And what's happening here at this point is that a lot of those harsh raw vegetal kind of notes of these leaves are actually mellowing out. They're getting kind of hammered off. The hard edges are being kind of neatly rounded off at this point. And so it's like it's kind of like taking just a real tomato that's probably not quite ripe enough and letting it ripen just a little more kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, anybody who's grown tomatoes, the
Yeah.
best time to pick them is before they've turned fully red.
It's actually a really good way to think about it, is that
Hmm.
whole ripening process.
Interesting,
And so,
okay.
obviously, without getting too scientific in this part of it, like the ripening process for something you would eat is going to be a little different chemically, but what you're doing is allowing those real kind of vegetal, harsh, chewy, crunchy notes to kind of just kind of melt out of that leaf.
Hmm.
And so basically, it's becoming something that is ready to be processed and then consumed. A lot of times, if this part of the aging process has been rushed, tobacco companies, what they do is they will cover up the tobacco with either heavy casing, like real syrupy tobacco casing. Think your very moist aromatics, things like that.
Your cherry
um,
tobaccos.
yeah, well, just yeah, a lot of your more heavily cased aromatics, heavily topped aromatics, things like that. And then also the addition of propylene glycol can help with that too. We've talked about that some. Of course, this is a food grade, preservative basically that helps tobacco stay fresh and moist. It's used in foods all over, but it's also used in tobacco occasionally, and some people don't prefer that because it kind of has a sticky consistency to it that can be kind of annoying if you're more of a purist. So,
Mm.
anyway, syrups can and casing processes can cover up the kind of cheating, or if it hasn't aged enough at that point. Um, and again, it kind of this at this point in time, it's kind of similar to that ripening of a kind of a garden vegetable or something. And once it's at the optimal point of use, once it's kind of if you will, kind of ripened at the certain point, then it can be gone into basically production mode. Production mode for tobacco. Once tobacco is blended, this is where we talk. You've heard us mention on the show often about the marrying process. Tobaccos get married. They become united in their bond,
Yeah.
their sacred bond before man and God, and become something truly other, right? And the marrying process, we joke about like the verbiage of it at all, but it really does take something like two things joining, becoming one, and yet the sum is kind of greater than the parts type of thing.
Mm.
It's really fascinating
That was kind of beautiful
to
right
think
there.
about that.
Yeah.
So you've got tobacco, of course. The marrying process, what that does. Think about. Have you ever do you eat leftovers, Bo? Are you a leftovers guy?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've got
Some people aren't.
no,
Some
I've
people
got
do
two
not eat
children.
leftovers.
I've got two children. When it comes down to it, any way to make the meals easier, I'm all about.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a bachelor for years, so I eat leftovers. That's
Who
just part of it.
doesn't eat leftovers?
There's people. There's people
Sitting on their
that
high
don't.
horse up in
Is it
there.
lonely up there on your
Yeah.
high horse
So
and your
leftovers were a common thing to do.
throw it out to the peasants? But there's a lot of folks that don't. But I was thinking, have you ever eaten something and then put it up for a night or a couple days? It's sitting in the fridge, and then you've come back to it and you said, "Why does this taste better now?"
Pizza.
It's spaghetti and meat
Oh,
sauce.
that's gross.
The meat sauce in spaghetti. If you ever, or sometimes a really good soup. Like if you ever make a really good soup or a really incredible meat sauce, and then you put it up for a few days, or sometimes people do that with like red beans and rice or something like that, and then bring it out after it's just kind of gelled
Mm.
and married up over for a few days. All those
The
fumes.
fats become like
No,
solid.
seriously,
Yeah,
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 and then reliquefied and all this stuff, and then all the the aromas from one part of it bleed into the other, which bleed back into the other, and it's just back and forth. The sugars are doing all kinds of things. This marrying process, it truly something magical happens there. A lot of times that happens with stuff like we mentioned. A lot of folks too. If you're a steak cooker, you might like to do a reverse sear on a steak, or do the grill it on your favorite grill.
Oh yeah.
But then before you slice it, a lot of times folks will let it sit there for about 10 or as much as 30 minutes sometimes, and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
let all the char kind of intermingle with those inner juices that have formed and everything. These are other concepts of marrying that are markedly, we can point to those things and say like, okay, that happens, that makes a difference when it happens in food. And this is also happening in pipe tobacco. Okay, so you're taking all the different ingredients and you're allowing them to combine and harmonize. The pipe tobacco, you got to think in any given blend of tobacco, whether it's a tin tobacco or something that we're going to blend here in a shop like the Squire. In any given blend, these are tobaccos that literally come from all over the world. Okay, literally, like in one tin of
Mm-hmm.
tobacco, you might have tobacco from Louisiana, Tennessee, Malawi, Cyprus, and Macedonia,
Dang.
all in one tin of tobacco.
Yeah.
That's crazy, and think about the soil.
Truly a global
It
product.
really
Yeah.
is. Yeah, and you think about the soil conditions in all those different
Mm.
locations of the world, what the humidity and moisture, the temperature is like in those places, what each one of those leaves, how they were cured. Were these air cured? Were these flue cured? Were these fermented or steamed or toasted? And then putting all these together and letting them sit. You've got these kind of the airy vapors of these things roiling around with each other for days and sometimes months. And typically, pipe tobaccos are going to sit there. Once they've been blended, they are married for at least a few months before they're put on the market. And so, the blender has made the tobacco. They've produced it, and it's going to sit there for at least a few months before it makes it onto the shelf. Moisture levels get more uniform with the different leaves. So, if you've got a really kind of wet perique leaf over here, it might kind of bleed over into this Virginia leaf that
Mm.
tends to be more
Hmm. Yeah,
dry,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you'll have some of that, and it just makes it more uniform. Those smells will intermingle with all the different leaves as well. So, have you ever stumbled upon a bag of pipe tobacco that you forgot about?
Yes,
Yeah.
often, many times.
So you open a drawer and you're like, wow, it smells so good. Oh, it's because my bag of Cherokee is sitting in
Uh-huh.
there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It,
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that kind of thing. So imagine how potent those smells are, and how those smells, with each individual leaf, they are constantly permeating each other. Um, through that time, and really really marrying up, which if it's doing that to your sock drawer or wherever you left it, the console of your car or whatever,
Uh-huh.
imagine what that's doing to each other, which is really kind of neat to think about. And this process is common too. The marrying process is common even in cigars as well. We think we did a Caleb and you did a show on cigars last week. A lot of cigar smokers, for instance, at our rolling event. We had a rolling event with Dominican Biglier Cigars here several months ago.
Mm.
And Francisco Almonte, he came in, he rolled these cigars, and he said, "Look, I'm gonna roll this cigar for you, but you either need to smoke it tonight, or you either need to put it up for about 6 months."
Dang.
And what's interesting about that is
Wow.
there's something, that was kind of a caricature of really, maybe what the timeline should be. But seriously, you probably either need to smoke it immediately, or you need to put it up for several months. And the reason is that gives the leaves the opportunity to marry just like they
Mm.
would in a pipe tobacco. If you do, some people like the real raw, kind of haphazard, unrefined taste of a freshly rolled cigar. That is really appealing in some ways. But if you're not going to do it immediately, really the true benefit of that comes down the road a little bit once you give it some time to marry up. So,
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right. So what's the part of this that we can control? That once we buy the tobacco, we can actually do something with. So we've
Right.
talked about all the aging kind of before this.
Yeah, when it
Um,
when it all comes down, I mean, like, most people
right.
are not gonna go out and buy a field of
Yeah,
tobacco
they
and
might
go
buy
to
some seeds or
well, they
something,
might
but
buy some seeds, but
it's
I've
hard to
seen
grow
what
that
you've
in
done here,
Milwaukee,
but yeah,
right? I
yeah,
know. Yeah. So after you buy your tobacco, this is the cellaring part. This is where aging, really is something that you can have a lot of fun with, and start to control on your end and experiment with. But people talk about cellaring. We've talked about cellaring before, storing tobacco, kind of keeping tobacco back, and do you put it in jars? Do you put it in, leave it in a tin, or what kind of conditions do you put it under? All this type of thing, and we've gone on and on about that in the past. But the a lot of folks, what they do say, and what they do realize, is that certain tobaccos, the longer you put them back, they just tend to be better. We
mm,
hear that a lot of folks, particularly for different types of tobacco. Virginia blend smokers tend to say this a lot. Man, if you'll just put that tobacco back, particularly something like Christmas Cheer, or any of those great McClellan blends, if you just put that back for a while, it's really going to shine after a year or two. And so, why is that? Why do we keep hearing that? Why does that say? Why do we keep hearing people say that? Well, first, you've got continued marrying. Okay, so the tobaccos are continually marrying in that, in kind of their own stew, right? And so,
mm.
as they're sitting there, they're continuing to, the aromas are mixing. The moisture is going in and out of each leaf. If there's any kind of heat variation in the environment, a lot of times they'll heat up and cool down, and heat up and cool down, and that just makes to this really tasty, kind of married tobacco. It's just really nice. But the main thing that's happening when you get to keep tobacco in your cellar And we always joke about the term cellar too. When I first heard a pipe smoker talk about his tobacco cellar, I was thinking like, how rich is this guy? He's got a cellar in his house. Like, where does he go down the steps and like go into his cellar? You know what I
But I
mean? Like,
mean,
I didn't realize it was literally his sock drawer,
right,
or
right.
like
I mean, like
right,
when it
so
comes down to it,
or like a shoebox. You know what I
we
mean?
all say our quote unquote cellar.
Our cellar,
It's kind of
right?
like how in the early days of this podcast, my quote unquote studio was
Mhm.
just the guest bedroom
Your
at my
guest
house.
bedroom,
Yeah.
right? And we had to keep your dog muzzled like in the corner. No,
Right,
not really,
right.
but yeah.
Yeah. So
um,
my quote unquote cellar is the small space in my closet that's not taken up by my wife's
That's
dresses.
exactly that the small space she affords you to have for your little, ridiculous
Pretty much.
hobby, right?
Pretty much,
So,
yeah.
so when you're cellaring this tobacco, the real thing that is contributing to the taste difference in tobacco is the fermentation process. Fermentation. This is where kind of the magic happens. Okay, what is fermentation? We've heard fermentation. We use hear food people talk about fermentation. Obviously, it's an important part of beer making. Um, fermentation is just kind of an ongoing, process that is regularly mentioned, particularly with consumable products. So fermentation is essentially it's a chemical breakdown of any substance that by a bacteria or some other kind of microorganism. And this chemical breakdown, it is releasing energy. Okay. Now, again, let me just insert here. I'm not a biologist. That should be very apparent. I'm no scientist. I didn't bring my white lab coat today. Like
But he does have one.
but I does have
He
one.
does have one. Right. Right.
But so
Certainly
again,
not an English major.
so again, yeah, I certainly left the dictionary at home, but and along with my white lab coat.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say here is that around the edges of this, I might butcher some things, but just know that the spirit of this, I think, is genuinely correct. As far as fermentation, you've got the chemical breakdown of these biological substances. Okay, you've got bacteria, microorganisms, kind of munching on the chemicals of these products. And so what are we talking about? We're basically talking about kind of rotting, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
this is true. I remember that
yeah,
episode of the Magic School Bus where they dive into the rotting tomato, but they talk about how it's like, it falls into the preservatives of the pickling process for the cucumber and how the rotting is what's bringing out flavor.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Beau and I, we're not food scientists, but I think there's some things here that we can kind of learn from a layman's perspective that really are the key to what's happening in the cellaring, the aging
Yeah.
process that makes those tobaccos just taste so incredibly good. So the bacteria, it's feasting on this plant matter, okay, and as it does that, it is emitting CO2. It's emitting carbon dioxide, and then the sugars of these leaves, they get kind of crystallized on the outside. They
Mm.
get condensed and crystallized on the outside of the leaves. And matter of fact, if you take the exact tobacco, you get a brand new tin of it. Check the date, see when it was manufactured,
Mhm.
and then you get a tin of it that's a couple of years old, and you open it up. Particularly if it's a blend that's heavy in Virginias, you can open these tobaccos and just see on the aged tobacco just a real sheen on the top, this really interesting glassy, kind of crystally look on the top. It's almost like someone just kind of basted it maybe with a little sugar or something. It's really interesting.
Do you notice that a lot? Because I mean, you're known for doing this with Christmas cheer every year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of folks do that with various types of tobacco, but yeah, if you will look on those aged tobaccos, you'll see this more apparently even in flakes because I think it might even be just kind of an optical illusion, but the flakes just really allow the light to hit that sugar just so where it just really stands out. It's really apparent if you put two side by side, but um so anyway, this bacteria, it's actually, a living organism that's living inside that tin of tobacco that's kind of chewing on these things and making them really flavorful. How is this happening? Okay, so we've got fermentation.
Magic.
It is magic. It is tobacco magic.
Hmm.
There's two different types
Wizards.
of wizards.
Sorry.
That they're it's the tobacco wizards that live
Right.
at Cornell and Deal
Yeah,
and McClelland and
the
Dunhill and
tobacco elves come at night, and then they sprinkle their sugar crystals all over it, and then the
ah,
tobacco wizard waves his magic wand, and
you know what?
voila,
If God ever blesses me with kids, they're not going to believe in Santa Claus, but they will believe in the tobacco
tobacco
elves.
elves.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
I think I'm pretty on board with that. Yeah,
Awesome.
tobacco elves are a real thing. No, but so you've got two. We're almost done. I know we're getting a little sciencey, but you've got two different types of fermentation process. Okay, you've got aerobic fermentation. Think when you hear aerobic, think air. And then we've got anaerobic fermentation. So that's no air. This is fermentation that's happening in a vacuum. Um, in aerobic fermentation, basically, this is what occurs in a American style tin. So when we say American style tin, I'm talking about like a McClellan tin, a Cornell and Deal tin, a GLP's tin. It's one of those kind of can style tins that looks like something you'd get.
It's like if you cut a soup can in like a third.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So we kind of know what we're talking about here. There's two different types of tins. That's we refer to that as the American style tin. There's also what I've historically called kind of the coin style tin or the
Hmm.
the vacuum seal tin. It's those flat
Probably the most
European style
traditional.
tins.
Yeah.
Traditional tins. You think of Orlick, Peterson. Mac Baron, the tins that are held together by kind of a threaded side, and then also they're vacuum sealed. So this is going to lead to two different types of fermentation process. Okay, the the ones that are American style, when they're sealed, they actually, even though they're airtight, they still have air inside them. Okay, and that
Right.
air that's inside the can,
It's trapped.
it's trapped, but it allows certain types of bacteria that are airborne to live in that can. And what that does, it allows the fermentation process to happen a little quicker and by different mechanisms because these are airborne bacteria. Now, on a European style tin, you've got a tin that's been literally vacuum sealed. It's been voided of all its air. So these are going to be different types of bacteria, and also it's going to kind of retard the process of fermentation. And so think about your can of some Campbell's soup or something. Well, there's still an expiration date on the can, right?
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
because it's been vacuum sealed or whatever doesn't mean it's like good forever. It's there's things living inside there that eventually are going to do their thing.
Right.
It's just going to happen at a slower pace than if air is exposed to it. Well, the same thing is happening in these tin tobaccos, and so you've got an anaerobic reaction happening in the European style tins where it's real. It's going to happen slower, and only certain bacteria can live in that environment. In the aerobic style tin, or the American style tin that allows aerobic fermentation, you've got more opportunity for that stuff to ferment quicker. And the air actually is a part of that process because that gives these bacteria a place to live and
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
breathe. So when the tobacco is being fermented, these little microbes, when they're chewing on this tobacco, they are emitting carbon dioxide. And so a lot of times after, if you'll see a Cornell, someone showed me a Cornell and Deal tin not too long ago that was just bulging at the seams. It was actually about to look like it was about to burst. And this tin was about 10 years old. And what had happened, he hasn't opened it yet, but all the little microbes in that tin, they've eaten up kind of all the oxygen. They've worked on that tobacco so much, and they've emitted so much CO2 that tin is actually looks like it's about to pop.
Mm.
It's just really
Hmm.
interesting. But so, okay, why are we talking about all this? The fermentation process, the kind of breaking down of the biology of those leaves, and then also crystallizing the sugar on the leaf. That is creating a sweeter Virginia, a more toffee like Virginia. It's making Latakia typically more mellow, more smooth. It's making burleys more smooth. It is allowing all these tobaccos to kind of just go into a more a richer, smoother state, which is just really interesting. And so I think the fermentation process there really does allow something special to happen. If you're going to ferment or age these products again at home, we have talked about cellaring before. There's a few different kind of schools of thought on this. Some people will just leave them in the can, and certainly in a McClellan style tin, that's going to have one effect on it. Now, if it's a Dunhill style tin, your choice and option, you might want to do, you take it out of the tin, put it in a mason jar, leave a little bit of air in there, and then seal it up really tight.
Mm.
And so that way you're kind of allowing the Dunhill, tobacco or the Orlick tobacco or whatever comes in that European style tin, you're kind of allowing it to age like it would in an American style tin.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
And so, you don't want to vacuum seal it like you would, a can of green beans or something. You want to, just put a real tight seal on there, allow that to seal up, and then it's going to be able to age with some air in there.
Does that need to be a pretty quick, like Indiana Jones style process? Like get it in real quick? Like
No, doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it really doesn't have to be. And a lot of times, even if tobacco has been sitting in a jar for a really long time and kind of fermenting in there, it might even be a good idea to open the jar up, allow some fresh oxygen to get in, just to kind of feed those microbes a little bit, let them have some more air to chew on and that kind of thing. So anyway, all this to say, it's kind of sciencey and maybe a little dry for some folks, but that fermentation process, that is where some of the most powerful flavor changes happens when you age a tobacco. And of course, that's going to happen in that sealed environment, whether it's got air in it or no air. And I think that's the part that you can affect the most. And so those are the things that are happening when you're, aging pipe tobacco. On and on, a 30-minute conversation later. But I think it is a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun to, when you get your first tin of tobacco, you just buy a tobacco, open it, smoke a bowl out of it, see what you think, and then put it in a really tight sealed jar and let that stuff sit for a while. And then come back and revisit it. And I think you'll be really pleased at what happens because of our little friends that we can't see gnawing on that tobacco.
Yeah, I feel like we just got a little Bill Nye the Tobacco Guy
I
up
think
in
maybe
here.
so. I left my bow tie at the
It's
house.
I'm a little almost borderline offended that Miss Frizzle never took the Magic School Bus into the tobacco aging process.
What are you talking about, Frizzle? Miss Frizzle?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Was she on Bill Nye?
No, the Magic School. Did you not watch the Magic School Bus?
No, what are you talking about?
You don't know about the Magic School Bus?
I never smoked pot.
No, no, sir. Oh man, I cannot believe this past year. But the Magic School Bus, she takes the kids, they get in the school bus, it turns into various things, it shrinks down, and they learn science, like on hands-on and such.
Yeah, man, I had no idea.
Completely missed you.
Yeah, just totally missed.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's not a tragedy, and that's the amazing tobaccos that you can age and smoke in the most quality method. I mean, like, you think about the fact that we're talking about taking a tobacco in one form, letting it age, and sampling it down the road. You're going to want to make sure that both before and after you have a clean smoke to know that you've got the best taste-changing effects of the aging process. And that can only happen from a good, clean smoking pipe like the ones you can find at Missouri Meerschaum.
That's right. Our friends at Missouri Meerschaum, they make excellent pipes, really good for tasting new tobaccos, sampling tobaccos that just came out of maybe your cellar that you've aged for a long time. Just talking, matter of fact, with our friend Barry earlier today, who graciously gifted us this Penzance. He was talking about tobacco he had put in his one of his cob pipes and just kind of tried and let it get the true flavor of the tobacco. And we hear that a lot. A lot of folks, if they want to get the real essence of pipe tobacco, they'll put it in the corncob pipe and let it just kind of speak for itself. So corncobs are a lot of fun. They're one of those pipes that you don't have to worry about because they're such a good value. But they really let the tobacco flavor for themselves shine.
Yeah, they're like a collector's best friend because, like, for the value, you got to catch them all.
You can.
Yeah,
you're right.
The pipe that's sponsoring this show tonight, we got the Diplomat, and the Diplomat is great because, as a true diplomat probably should be, it takes on many shapes and sizes. Like there's the rounded shape, more of the barrel shape as well. They've got bent, they've got straight. I'm a big fan of the round rounded bent of the Diplomat specifically. So if you've got a Diplomat of any size, shape, or bend or straight, be sure to smoke it this week. Take a picture of it. We love sharing those pictures out. It's a great way to let the good folks at Missouri Meerschaum know that you appreciate them for sponsoring this show. All right, man, we got a pipe question of the week this week. You ready for this?
Yeah, bring it on.
Are you really ready for this?
I might not be,
okay,
actually, but I'm going to pretend like it.
We'll see how it goes. All right, this question comes in from White Top. He says, actually, wait, did we already do this one? Oh, snap. About toasted? Or did we discuss this and then it got cut from an episode?
I don't remember this question.
All right, are you ready for this question? This is what happens, by the way. This is a little this will be cut from the podcast, but this is what happens sometimes. You feel good about it?
Yeah, why not?
All right, let's rock and roll.
Let's talk about it, baby.
All right, this is from White Top. All right, let me I'll just start the segment from the top. Sorry about that, Mike. Here we go. Pipe question of the week this week coming in from White Top, asking the question, just finished a pipe of a blend said to be toasted Virginia and Perique. In my cigarette days, my favorite brand was Lucky Strike because, quote unquote, it's toasted. When I was young,
if you're smoking Lucky Strike, you probably were toasted.
Well, when I was young, I enjoyed a pipe blend that was Brush Creek that was rumored and had contained toasted burley. So the question is, what is toasted tobacco and how is it done?
Yeah, man, great question. It's tobacco that has been put to flame. These are tobaccos that it could be air cured, but typically, are finished with some type of flame to make them, just a little smoky and crunchy. And that's really all there is to it. Toasted burleys are super popular. In a bunch of different blends. We use them here at our shop. Various manufacturers make a lot of great toasted burleys. We see those really regularly. Virginias can be toasted. There's the stoving process as well. We've talked about stove Virginias as well. And so, there's a lot of leaves that are toasted, and Latakia in its own way is toasted because it's kind of going through this heat smoke process. But typically direct access to the fire is going to be where the toasting comes from.
Okay. Is it as different as, say, eating bread versus eating toast in terms of the flavor?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
That's it.
All right. Well,
well, and you think about what's happening during when bread gets heated, right? Like you've got, wow, this became the science episode.
I mean, it really
quickly,
is.
but,
Yeah.
You've got, sugars that are being caramelized in this process.
Right,
you've got things that are burning and smoke particles are being infused to those things. And then you're consuming that. It's going to taste different. And all these things, a toasted anything just kind of has a crispy, toasty flavor to it. You just kind of know what that means, And so,
I mean, if you're listening
with
to this
tobaccos,
podcast,
that's no different.
That's right. I mean, at an early age, you learn that toast, the toast is different than bread. You put the bread in the toaster, it pops up, and then it tastes different.
Warm, buttery toast.
You put the Eggo waffle in the toaster, and it turns from an icy kind of wet form into a ideally crispy form if your toaster is calibrated correctly.
Yeah, and if it's not, it becomes like this
like floppy thing.
It's kind of lava. It's a lava disc with a hard center.
It's no good.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Eggo minis? You remember the Eggo minis?
Yeah.
Where there's like four
of them. Yeah. And they had them with like blueberries and stuff in them.
Yeah. Why did they do that? I feel like you were always like losing waffle in the process.
I don't know.
There was like a hole right there.
Oh, no, I don't know.
All right, great question, White Top. Thank you so much for sending those in. Hey, if you got a pipe question of the week, send it in. You can send those in to show@countrysquireradio.com. Quick fire question! Ow! All right, man. These come in, of course, from our good friends over at thispipelife.com. Thispipelife.com. Hear more about that in just a minute. These are also more from our good friend, Jay Freedy. Man, Jay hooking us up over at thispipelife.com.
Love it, man. So many great end-on-end quick fire question.
Absolutely. Now, as has many come before, this one has a theme, and the theme is pipes.
Okay.
Pretty, it makes a lot of sense.
Bring it.
Here we go. Smooth finish or rusticated / sandblast?
Smooth. I love to see the grain. For me, that's a part of the fun of buying a pipe. I think I used to be more of a rusticated or sandblast person, but between the two, rusticated or sandblast, I'd have to go sandblast. But if it's going to be between that and a smooth, I'll go with a smooth pipe.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one pipe that is really brag worthy when it comes to grain.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah,
Yeah.
and I like that pipe because I like busting it out because I feel like, this guy's kind of like this is legit. This is like a legit,
Look at his grain.
yeah.
Ugh.
It's it's legit. But I like a rusticated or a sandblasted
Yeah,
pipe.
yeah.
So I'll probably go rusticated sandblasted.
Okay.
All right, vulcanite or acrylic?
I'm gonna go with vulcanite. I like an ebonite or a vulcanite stem. It just has such a soft, kind of texture on your teeth. It's not as clacky. It doesn't feel as, I don't know, tactile or something. It's just a softer experience. I'm a sucker for an ebonite stem.
I used to be like for the longest time. I was just hardcore ebonite all the way, but no,
Yeah.
man, I really,
Acrylic, lucite,
man,
kind
that
of
kind of caramel,
the
caramel
swirly
swirliness.
designs and stuff that they'll have. Yeah, a lot of times too, folks like because acrylic or lucite, it won't discolor. And so after a while, your pipe stem doesn't look like it, came from the cheese on the moon or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that's
and
true.
and ebonite or vulcanite stems are really bad about doing that. So I'm still a sucker for them. I think they feel good in your
I
mouth.
mean, I definitely have more of those than the acrylics, but I do like the acrylics. I'll
Yep.
choose that one.
Yep.
All right, check tool or a nice quote unquote nice tamper.
Check tool. I'm a check tool person.
Okay,
I always use a check tool. I mean, if that's what I've got, unless it's I don't have one, and then I have to resort to a chapstick tube or something
a
like that,
rusted nail.
or a rusty nail, or any various other items that I've used as a tamping device. But no, man, I'm a check tool guy. I love a check tool.
Uh, yeah, I'm a tamper. I like a check tool, but I mean, like the question, I mean, even specifies what do you use, what do you actually use most?
Yeah, yeah,
It always comes down to just just a simple tamper
yeah.
for me personally.
Yeah, for me, the check tool works great. That three-way tool that we all know and love. It's something that if I lose, which I do all the time, I'm not bent out of shape about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
All right, filter or no filter?
No filter. Although I have recently been appreciating filters more, but
Gotta
I'm
get that
still
balsa
firm.
wood.
I'm still firmly in the no filter camp.
I
Yep.
do I do enjoy the balsa filter. And if it's an option, then I always go for it.
Yep.
All right, corn cob original or corn cob modified, and he puts in parentheses with custom stem, painted,
Ooh.
etc.
Ooh, good man, good one to finish up on. I
Yeah.
I don't know. Mm, I the right modified corn cob is really something special. Like I mean, you've got your like beautifully modified corn cob pipe that
Yes.
someone gifted you. I
My
can't remember who
the
did, but
salmon
the
slayer.
the salmon slayer that you've got.
I've never caught a
You
salmon with it.
and you probably never will. But in the case across the room from us over here, we've got a set of 4 South Park pipes, and they're all Missouri Mirrors from Corncob Legend of Series pipes that have been painted like South Park characters.
And they do. You got all
And I
four of them.
and I just there's something like, why would you have a regular one if you could have one that looks like Eric Cartman?
I mean, but here's the thing. The
I
problem
I
the
mean,
problem with that is that you got to own the set and you can't smoke all four. Well, I don't think you could smoke all unless you modified the stem.
and that's the point. That's what we're talking about. So I mean, look, have fun with it.
Has
I don't know.
anybody ever modified a corn cob so you had a 4 bowl pipe?
A four stem bowl pipe. No, I mean that's the thing. Like with corn cobs, you could experiment and do just that.
Oh, dang.
I'm gonna go with the modified corn cob, but there's nothing wrong with just the regular old unadulterated corn cob.
Oh, no. You gotta love the classic. But no, when it comes down to it, of my corn cob pipes, I generally go for the salmon slayer more often than not.
Yeah, because yours, I mean, it's a beautifully modified corn cob pipe that was done.
I mean, it
just
was
for you.
modified specifically for fishing.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, great quick fire questions. Again, those come in from Jay Freedy. Now, these are also coming in from the forums over at thispipelife.com. And if you have not done so already, head over to thispipelife.com, and it's an amazing online community. You get to meet other pipe smokers from all across the country, maybe the world. I know specifically the country, and beyond. So be sure to check that out. Use the code CSR when you sign up. Now, there's a lot of great reasons to be part of the network, but one of the things I really encourage you to do is head over to the forums and just search quick fire questions or just quick fire. You'll be able to see the forum. Add those to the list. It's not difficult to find whatsoever. So thispipelife.com is the place to do it. Use the code CSR when you register at thispipelife.com. Listen to feedback.
Listen to feedback.
All right, now this is great because this is actually a follow-up to some feedback that we had last week when you were not on the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is like an ongoing story, so to speak.
Okay.
So you wanna take this one?
Sure. It says, hello again. Just to let you know that the main organizer of the UK Pipe Show is Tom Kirkbright.
Oh, and I should probably just to make sure I'm specified even further.
Yeah.
This is our friend over in Lancashire, over
Lancashire.
Lancashire,
Right. In the UK.
yeah, definitively not Yorkshire. But specifically about the Yorkshire and Lancashire and their pipe community. But again, please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. He says, okay, so the organizer of the UK Pipe Show is Tom Kirkbright. He is from Halifax, Yorkshire. He is a good friend, and we are sorting the little War of the Roses out together. So we're going to do a War of the Roses. We're actually going to pair some Country Squire pipe tobacco.
This is happening,
and it's going to happen in England, which is exciting. He says he has an awesome YouTube channel called Toking Tommy. Please check it out. It is as his content is fantastic and is all pipe smoking related. We're going to put the Lancaster and the White Rose in samples for people to try. The little bags will have white and red rose stickers on them. I will be the Lancashire advocate, obviously, and Tom will be the Yorkshire advocate.
Go Tom!
That's
my boy, Tom.
And we may even wear red and white. So anyway, they're gonna have a lot of fun with this. He says, please give Tom Kirkbright and his Toking Tom channel on YouTube a shout on the radio show, as he is working really hard and sorting the show out for our little War of the Roses that they're going to have. So all the best, and what a bit of fun this will be, James Hargraves. So
man, James, Team Tom all the way,
man,
baby.
I'm just so excited about this.
This is happening.
Man, Country Squire Lancaster and Country Squire White Rose is going to the mother country.
We sent those pipes.
Great.
We sent those pipes to Megan Fox and Brian Austin Green, and we got the picture and all that kind of stuff. We haven't talked about it on the show, but regardless, that's nothing.
No.
That is nothing compared to freaking this, man. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The War of the Roses is coming back. York's all the way. Right now, listen to me. My brethren in Yorkshire, I unfortunately am no longer with you because generations my family retreated. But don't worry, we have not forgotten who should sit rightfully on the throne of England. And though we may not be there now, you, my bannermen, you are there to represent us well. Show those Lancashire wonderful people who are participating in this contest. Show them what for. Give it all for the White Rose. I know it, guys. I know y'all can do this. Team Tom, Team Yorkshire. Let's do this, guys. Awesome.
I'm just glad the tobacco is going to speak for itself. That's what I love. That's what I love.
In the end, the tobacconist wins one way or the other.
Man, we're so excited to be sending this over, and man, I hope y'all have a lot of fun with
audio, whatever you can get, pictures. Let us just please do your best to include us. Just keep us informed any way we can, and the more that we can help promote you guys doing that, we are all in for that.
Yeah, obviously.
Some of you a little bit more than others. Team Tom, Yorkshire. But no, to the Lancashire folks, y'all are awesome. And again, big ups to James for putting this on. He may be a Lancashire man, but he's one of the good ones.
That's right.
He's one of the good ones.
That's right.
By the way, we also got some feedback in from Punk Rock Piper in relation to quick fire questions from
a couple weeks. It's funny, we got a question. I think what was maybe your favorite Bible translation or
That's
something.
right.
I can't remember.
It was ESV versus King James Bible.
And I think we both, was it King James or was it another? I think it might have been another version.
I thought it was King James. Maybe it was the NIV.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, but you and I both answered.
The NIV.
You would. I know. God, that's so silly. No, but Beau and I both answered the English Standard Version. I'm a big fan of that. And our friend Punk Rock Piper, he says, no, King James Version only. He says he's a little shocked by our answer. Man, we're just full of surprises around here. So, yeah, I read whatever version as long as they, don't read whatever version, but the King James is okay. Yeah,
that's right. No. That's great, man. And look, we want to thank you guys so much for sending that feedback. There's a lot of great ways to do it. We check the YouTube comments before going live. We also love getting those Facebook messages in. Emails are always great. We especially love those of you who head over to iTunes and write us a review there. It's a great way to help out the show. Maybe you're someone who maybe you're a Pipe Club member. and or maybe you're a patron or somebody who's financially contributing to the show. That's a huge way to support the show, and we greatly appreciate it. But even if you're not somebody who can financially support the show, but you still want to support what we're doing in the best way that you can, head over to iTunes, write us a review. Doesn't cost you a dime to do it. And it does go a long way to helping folks discover this show. Another great way to help folks discover the show is while you're online in various communities and everything, be sure to just kind of message out like, hey, I'm listening to the Country Squire Radio podcast. Anybody else listening to this? You know what? Give Brian Austin Green. I'm going to do that every single time.
You might.
Sorry, Brian Levine. Give Brian Levine a shout out as well for Pipes Magazine.
That's right.
But yeah, like any way that you can go out and share about the podcast community, the Pipe podcast community, I think is a great thing. So go out, let the folks know. Man, we've had a lively chat here on Twitter tonight as well. Are you scanning through these?
Yeah, just looking through a few. I love how folks now, when we do our quick fire questions, we've got a lot of folks that will answer it themselves. I'm always interested to see what folks have to say. So I think that's really good.
Hey, shout out to Byron as well on Twitter. He just said, and a local gin that's been aged in mezcal barrels. I think I'm mezcal barrels. He says, you're getting a bottle of this at the Texas Pipe Show.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
That's right, Byron.
That's great. Man, we've got it looks like our friend Byron 0316, he shows a map of the United States before Caleb's on air and then after Caleb's on air, and the ladies look like they have lit up. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be, if we need to reach out maybe to a more diverse audience, that might be a good thing.
Could be. Mark VV giving us some good gifts tonight in terms of my tobacco wizard and tobacco elves, and saying, hey, did we slip into that D&D episode without even trying?
Dr. Allen 201, he says chili is always better a couple days later. Now I'm telling you, that's a thing. Like there's something
chili,
about
chili for real.
No, any type of kind of meaty soupy thing like that. When you put it up for a couple days, there's just something about that happens. And I think pipe tobacco is no different.
Yeah.
Our friend Jay Freedy Piper, he says I like to marinate all my tobaccos in a sock drawer.
Yeah, totally kidding. Of course. Now this is really what it comes down to, because this was a tweet that came out before the show even began. It's from our boy Hoctor the Love Doctor.
Yeah.
You've seen the guy that's sprinkling salt, like, it was on Facebook and Twitter, like the most perfect sprinkling of salt. It's that guy, but it's your face sprinkling tobacco on whatever, and it just says Tobacco Bay. And in my opinion, Hoctor, you won tonight before tonight even began.
I have to admit, I was running late to the Squire tonight to get here on time for the podcast, and I saw a notification on my phone, and so I pulled my phone out, and it was that image. And I was stopped at a red light, and I just died out laughing. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah, just fantastic. I feel like I sprinkle that way on everything. It's just my little,
All right, we need to
recreate tobacco.
If you do that, we need to actually make that video happen. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. All right, well, hey, we want to thank all of you who are tuning in live and chatting with us and kind of enjoying that unique process of seeing the show as it is made, and just kind of having fun with the online Twitter communities as well. If you would like to tune into a live show as well, and you never have, join us Monday nights. It's at 8:30 Pacific. That's 8:30 Central. Let me start from the top there. Join us Monday nights at 8:30 Central. That is 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. That can be at countrysquireradio.com is the place to tune in. You can also engage with us throughout the week. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at the Real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at @_Country Squire.
And of course, the show's Twitter handle as well as at Squire Radio. But all that information and more can be found at countrysquireradio.com. Well, man, I alluded to it, but I'll try to remember and put it on the notes for next week. But we did get that picture from Brian Austin Green with his new pipe.
I know, that was amazing.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about it, last week. Obviously, you had Caleb on. It was just a little different, no live show. But man, Brian Austin Green, we sent him a Country Squire pipe and some White Rose, and he, by all accounts, smoked it.
Yeah, no, we got a great. He hit up Instagram.
It was great.
It was great. So
it's exciting.
We'll post that picture out. We'll talk about it more next week. But one way or the other, man, let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks for joining in, guys. Man, we always have a lot of fun. I always, I sit here and like yap and just it go on and on so much sometimes on these shows. And I remember when I was in college and was a lot more insecure, and a little revealing moment between us and our live folks that I always like. But because some of our folks, most devoted, listeners or
Oh
live
yeah, if
listener
you're
folks.
live,
But
then yeah.
I remember sitting in meetings or groups or something in college and just hearing. I was so insecure that I always felt like I had to be saying something, right? And
Mm.
so I was just constantly saying something, in a group environment. And I remember thinking to myself during those meetings, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And sometimes on these like more informative, Country Squire radio episodes, I kind of feel that way. I kind of have this like out of body experience where I'm sitting back and I'm just like, John David, you're just talking a lot.
No, no, no,
Just
no.
shut up, But anyway, we hope that what we provide is informative. We hope it makes your pipe smoking experience more enjoyable, more knowledgeable, and really just helps you stick with it and enjoy it more. So anyway, even if I sound a little preachy sometimes or professorial, we thank you for coming by.
Look, as long as you use words
Like
professorial,
professorial.
then I think we're like, isn't the
He
Kickstarter
said
up?
professorial. What a jackass,
Isn't the Kickstarter up for John David reads the phone book? I think that's still a
No,
planned
certainly not. Certainly not.
Well, man. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
See y'all. Good night.